Dylan, when we first launched this new podcast way back during the first week of spring, we made some early predictions for the year that we are going to review today. Do you remember anything you said from then?
I don't even remember making the prediction, so no, I'm terrified of what I might have said. Who knows what comes out of my mouth?
There were a few crazy ones. We hit on. We're gonna go back and look. There was some Ohtani predictions, some players who would be better or worse this year, and you picked a pretty outrageous breakout star.
Oh, that one I remember.
Yeah. We'll get to that. We'll touch on Tyler Glasnow's injury and look ahead to the series that the Dodgers have coming up against the Braves. This is Dodgers Post. All right, he's Dylan Hernandez, California Post baseball columnist. I'm Jack Harris, Dodger beat writer. It is Thursday morning. I made it back from Houston at 3 a.m. last night. That was cool. Yeah.
Was it supposed to be 3 a.m. arrival, or did it just happen?
No, it was not supposed to be that late, but I did a quick aside. We have at our great new place, we have a new travel booking software thing. And I guess I was only looking at flights out of Houston Hobby, which is much more limited, especially if you're not flying Southwest, rather than Bush Airport. The good news is that I was like this close to calling an Uber to the wrong airport yesterday and then realized it. So, it could have been a much more disastrous day. In the same way that the Dodgers could have had a much more disastrous end of their road trip this week. They did take 2 of 3 from the Astros. They're kind of continuing to just grind along at 500 over the last few weeks. But yesterday they did lose Tyler Glasnow, at least early in his start, to a back injury, a back spasm, as he called it afterwards. The good news is that he doesn't think it's serious. This is something that, if you followed the Dodgers the last couple of years or Tyler Glasnow over his career, back problems have been a thing. He credited it to just being tall and going through all the way back to high school, like a couple times a year, where it just kind of gives out on him, spasms a little bit. So he's getting an MRI today. I guess it's possible he could miss a start or two. He had to do that a couple years ago. It doesn't seem like it's going to be anything more severe than that. I think. Do you buy that? And kind of what would you do here, especially when you look at like Blake Snell's coming back, as we talked about last episode? You were going to have to make a decision between Roki Sasaki and Emmett Sheehan and Justin Wrobleski. How does this kind of change that calculus, if at all?
Well, I think they might as well skip him at least a start, right? If not 2 starts. There's no reason to push it at this point of the season. So, and that also it allows them to kind of kick the can down the road on the Emmett Sheehan, Roki Sasaki, Justin Wrobleski issue of like who gets pushed out of the rotation. Do I buy that it's not serious? You kind of hope so, I guess, just because, I certainly wrote about, I think we both have written about Tyler Glasnow maybe kind of turning a corner here in his career. Obviously, there was the column that I wrote in spring training, which had a very interesting headline, but basically that, the team had encouraged him to.
Oh, you mean Tyler Fat now?
Tyler Fat now. Where they, right, the team basically encouraged him to try to increase his, his body fat, just to kind of maybe as an injury prevention method, and he kind of seemed to be doing that well. And I thought he looked good, and obviously, I think Dave Roberts has talked extensively about just kind of the playoff experience last year, and even having him do kind of things that were right out of his comfort zone, like pitching out of the bullpen and stuff, and the fact that those things went well. He did seem to kind of come back a different guy from like a mental standpoint, I think. Right, where things were maybe right. He was the type of guy in the past where if things kind of went wrong, he had a habit of letting those things snowball, and now it's there even a couple starts ago, I can't remember when it was, but there was a start at Dodger Stadium where I think he wound up giving up 4 runs, really just on like 2 home runs, right? If you really look at the start as a whole, it was just 2 bad swings, and you know what? He kind of like limited the damage and kept the team in the game still, right? And so I do think we've kind of seen some growth. So for his sake, right, you kind of hope that this isn't going to kind of derail whatever progress he was making. And, right, even he looked like a legitimate Cy Young contender. That said, I guess we're just not too far removed from the Edwin Diaz thing where he told me it was his knee, and he was totally fine. And a week later, he's having elbow surgery. So, uh, yeah, you never know, right? I mean, I think that these guys don't want to really admit when they're hurt and stuff, and sometimes they don't know themselves, right? And the fact that, look, here's the thing though, they're concerned enough that they're putting him in a tube today, right? That is not a comfortable experience. You don't do that if it's just like, oh, I just think that, I just woke up on the wrong side of the bed. So we'll see.
I think it goes one of two ways. You mentioned like the way he performed at the end of last year. The last time he had a back thing was in early September last year during a road trip in Baltimore. He got scratched from a start that forced Shohei Ohtani to like sub in and pitch on short rest. And at that point, it kind of felt like, oh man, like is Glasnow getting hurt again? Is he like coming unglued again late in the season? And then he turned around and obviously was great the rest of the way and great in the postseason. The other path is 2 years ago. Like he went on the IL with a back thing around the All-Star break, came back, didn't look good, and then ultimately had the elbow injury. So we'll see. I'm partial to. He seemed confident enough yesterday that this is like a normal thing I deal with, and I'll be all right. You're not
Yeah,
a. By the way,
you didn't talk to Edwin Diaz a few weeks ago, though. He was
true.
very confident when he talked to me. So
Sure. You're not an MRI guy. You don't like going in the tube.
I've never had an MRI. I've
Oh,
never.
I loved it. I've had one MRI, and it's like you go in there. They put.
Why'd you have an MRI?
I had like
At what point in life was this? Were you like
I had like a benign tumor on my arm that had to
oh
be.
boy.
Well, it was benign.
Wow.
We're good.
Okay. Yeah.
But like when I was a kid. But yeah, the MRI experience was interesting.
Yeah. No, if I ever got hurt playing sports, I wasn't good enough to merit going into a tube. So
All right. Well, let's get to today's main segment of the podcast and see if your early season predictions merit any praise or ridicule. So before we do this, um, first, this is going to be a very subjective game because the way we did these predictions at the start of the year were not very uniformed. We were just kind of going off the cuff as we do. I want to propose that whoever's predictions we deem to be more on track right now, should get 3 points to our little season-long game. Uh, you had an issue with this.
what? Yeah. What is this? Like you're gonna rewrite the rules just because you're getting your? Yeah. I don't know.
You might be right.
What can I say
By
on this
the way.
program?
You might win this. We'll go through it and we'll see. How about that? We'll
All right.
kind of get to the end that we can debate with each other. Okay, Dylan. So the first thing we did was we predicted Ohtani's stats for the year. But I say you predicted them and I just kind of reacted to them. So this one's all on you.
Okay.
Do you remember anything about what you predicted for Ohtani's stats this year?
I remember I was more because you've been on this whole like right I referred to you people as killjoys in my most recent column like you've been against Ohtani pitching and doing this two-way thing. I don't understand this at all.
Which by the way, the Tyler Glasnow thing is a good reminder of like, well, there's some value in continuing to let Ohtani pitch because like injuries can pop up over the year.
But I just remember you kind of being right. You were worried about the toll that was going to kind of take on his hitting, and so I do think my win total. Now that I think about it, because I predicted for both, right?
So you predicted home runs, pitching wins, stolen bases, ERA, total starts made.
Yeah. So I'm guessing I'm fine on ERA, but that the win total.
You're fine.
But that's not his fault though.
Okay, you're fine on ERA. You said he'd have a 2.6. It's a little lower than that so far. 15 pitching wins out of 28 starts. I mean, I think that's still possible, but yeah, the Dodgers not winning whenever he pitches is going to be a problem there.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm expecting that to turn. I'm not sure he gets to 15 necessarily now, but and then I'm guessing for home runs, what I'd say like 40?
No.
45?
No.
50?
Almost.
What'd I say?
52 home runs.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, he can still get there.
I mean, he can, I guess, but he had one in his last 20. I wouldn't say that one is exactly on track.
I think he's due for a heater now. We're gonna have one of those.
He is. That part is true. He's due for a heater. He's out of his 0 for 18 slump that he was in by getting 2 hits on Wednesday. Actually looked a little bit better, but clearly is still kind of going through it at the plate. Let's see if I can do some quick math here. How many games have the Dodgers played? Well, they're about 20% of the way through the season. He has 6 home runs. What does that put him on pace for?
Oh, well, the last time I checked, he was on pace for like 27.
Yeah, he's on pace for about 30 right now. So yeah, I don't think you quite nailed that prediction. Although I will say, as we did this originally, I kind of agreed with all of these. I thought his ERA would be higher and he'd be making fewer starts. So I think you did okay. Do you remember his stolen base call that you made?
20?
You said 28. And actually, he had another one yesterday. He's up to 5 on the season without getting caught. So that one's not too far off
Oh, yeah,
base.
we're on pace there. Okay, I like that.
I'm sad I didn't ask you either for his batting average, which I'm sure you'd be way off right now, or like an early preview for your 200 strikeout prediction this year. But okay, not terrible on Ohtani. You made one prediction about Yoshinobu Yamamoto this season. Do you recall what it was?
Cy Young.
Yes. How you feeling about that one?
I still feel okay about it. He's not out of it, right? And so I think that he's going to again. I mean, look, you look at his starts right now. I mean, I think the way he pitches these games is a lot of times actually his seasons kind of follow like a similar course, right? Where it's bumpy at the beginning and then once he kind of figures out, it's interesting, right? Because most guys, the more a hitter sees them, right, the advantage kind of goes to the hitter. With Yamamoto, it kind of seems the opposite way, right? The more he sees a hitter, the more he knows what he can do to them and how he should attack them and stuff. He seems to kind of get better as it goes along, and I think that that will also kind of hold true for the season. Osamu Yara, his trainer, kind of told me like, "Hey, watch out for the summer because that's when he's gonna start kind of hitting his peak, the end of the summer." So, we saw that last year too, so I'm expecting that. Yara Sensei is also giving me some health advice. Telling me to reduce the size of my stomach and that it would help improve the condition of my shoulder, which so far has proven true. So, who's the question, Yada Sensei?
Um, Fair. I will point out that Paul Skeens, who I mentioned when you originally made this pick, I go, Paul Skeens doesn't exist. And you just kind of brushed him off. He has a 1.31 ERA in his last 7 starts and is quickly erasing this weird stat line he had after a weird opening day. So I don't know. I'd be a little surprised if Yamamoto is a real candidate for this by the end of the year, especially if Ohtani keeps doing what he's doing. But no, he's not out of it yet. All right, next feature. We played a game of better or worse. Now this one we both made
Wait,
picks.
so you didn't make any predictions?
I told you we didn't. We really just went off the cuff with these. I guess I just gave you the speech for the Japanese guys.
Did we not have a producer at that time? Was there no structure to the show?
I mean, it was the first week of spring. We were just like, we'll get in front of the camera and just talk. Who will possibly remember what we say other than us, apparently. This one was more uniform. We picked 3 players and debated whether they would have better or worse seasons than they did in 2025.
Okay.
Started with Mookie Betts. You said that he couldn't be worse, which I guess technically is true to this point. Like this one's going to be a little void. I said he was going to be better, which I'm having some concerns over, given the fact
He hasn't played.
I know, but that's why I have some concerns. He's been out for a month with an oblique.
Yeah.
Now, luckily, he set the bar pretty low last year and showed some positive signs.
You
But
know what your argument should be? That by not playing, he's better.
okay, well, he was still a positive win WAR player last year. I'm sure he will still be a positive contributor when he comes back. I do think
You know the formula for WAR, by the way. This always bothers me that everybody likes to cite WAR and nobody has any idea like what goes into that number.
uh it's because I'm not a mathematician. No, I don't. What I do know,
Oh, you're not a mathematician, Jack? That's
Mr.
shocking. You did. How'd you make it through those rigorous Arizona State University math
What
class?
what I do know is uh Mr. Get Off My Lawn, old man baseball thinker, is that the teams value their players in this way and they resemble these WAR numbers enough. So yes. If he was going to be better by not playing, I would say he probably needs to be a negative replacement level player. I am curious more seriously, like especially as we've talked about the way the offense has struggled the last couple weeks. We haven't really talked about like Mookie Betts's like the impact that his absence has made and what his return could mean. The one thing that really does stick out to me right now is that the Dodgers kind of like they have some problems when teams throw a bunch of lefties at them because Ohtani and Tucker and Muncy and Freddie Freeman, Dalton Rushing even like they're pretty reliant on left-handed bats right now. And you look at the right side of the plate, Will Smith hasn't really hit his stride yet. Andy Pages has obviously been excellent. He hit 3 home runs yesterday to kind of re-kickstart his breakout season. We're going to get to Teoscar Hernandez in a minute, who has not been very good. But I do think that Mookie it could be a very pivotal player when he comes back because they kind of are lacking like somebody that's a right-handed bat at the top of the lineup that can help bail them out when teams just throw like one lefty reliever after another at them, which we've seen happen a couple times, or they face a tough lefty starter. So uh,
Am I the only one? Sorry, we're going to kind of go off on a tangent here, but am I the only one who thinks like Will Smith would be a good two-hitter? I kind of like him in that spot.
I think it's the one problem is if you put him that high and he's out of the lineup regularly, it shuffles everything else further down, which the Dodgers are trying to avoid. Hence why Dalton Rushing has hit in the leadoff spot the days he's filled in for Shohei Ohtani as DH when he's pitching. I do think, and I mentioned this last week, like if Ohtani continues to struggle and the offense can't really get going, like I do wonder if they look for somebody else to put in the leadoff spot so that you can move Ohtani down. I don't know if they have a great candidate for that because you want somebody who's getting on base but like I think Mookie, if he's right, you know, like there's a version of Mookie right now who still has great plate discipline, can draw walks, if he can make more consistent hard contact that falls in, as opposed to I think what we saw last year and even for the first couple weeks of this year, which was yeah, there are some balls he hit hard, but there's just a lot more fly balls that die at the warning track now with him. I think there's a version of Mookie that if you put him at the top of the lineup could make sense, which is remember initially how they had it when Ohtani arrived. So yeah, I think again, just like as you look at the Dodgers offense right now and what to make of it, I think we've probably discounted a little bit Mookie's absence. And you know, he could be a really important guy to the just kind of like the stability of what they do at the plate if he can be productive in different ways when he returns. Which is a long way of saying the Dodgers better hope that he's better than last year because if he's not, it's just going to be kind of one more thing to navigate with their lineup. Okay, Teoscar Hernandez. I was so confident he was going to be better this season. I really bought into the way he remade his body in the offseason. I really bought into the idea that he was just playing hurt last year, and that impacted a lot of things. I really liked the way his first 2 weeks, 3 weeks of the season went. And since then, he's been bad, like really bad in a way that if this goes on a little longer, you almost start to wonder, okay, like not just can he hit at the top of the order in the way he has been, but do they need to maybe like reevaluate his role, playing time, things like that. So you were correct on this because you said you were more correct, I guess. You said, for the record, I'm not saying he'll be worse, but the same, which is kind of what he's been. It's just that he no longer has like the injury explanation to fall back on.
Yay me.
Yeah, wow. Great analysis.
I don't know what else to say. I mean, he's an older guy that strikes out a lot, and you know.
And it's I put this in my story yesterday. Like the concerning part, I think he has like one extra base hit in the last 2 or 3 weeks, on top of the striking out and not getting on base as consistently. And you look at their roster, like he suddenly, I think, has been a less productive player than Alex Freeland, who had a nice week this week, and then the last couple weeks have been better. But that's not what you want to see from a guy who has been tasked to still be an important part of the middle of the lineup.
Yeah. Well, as long as he's not hitting like Alex Call, then I think you're okay, right?
Alex Call's hitting.
Is he?
Alex Call, to go back to WAR, uh, Alex Alex Call has a higher WAR than Teoscar Hernandez right now, and like a third of the at bats.
So when you say, by the way, reevaluating his role, what do you mean by that? I mean, isn't he either a starting player or like, I don't know,
I guess the first thing
not
would
a bat
be
off the bench, is he?
no. I think the first thing would just be like, does he play like right now? He's an everyday player in a way that like even um Muncy, like he's like Max Muncy gets some off days sometimes against left-handed pitching. I wonder if, at some point they have to kind of look at Teoscar Hernandez and be like, well, can we, is giving you 600 plate appearances as opposed to like maybe 400, 450? Like, is that the thing that makes the most sense? I think, especially when you start to consider, you know, um, like someone like Tommy Edman will be back at some point, even though his return is taking a little bit longer than we anticipated. But like he can move around and is a switch hitter who could give you different options. And Kike Hernandez will be back at some point and is another guy that, like they're going to eventually, right now, they don't really have a lot of alternatives, but they're going to eventually start to have them. And, even somebody like you look at AAA, like James Tibbs, if he continues to hit this way, is going to warrant an opportunity at some point and is a left-handed bat who could maybe balance some things out. So, I think, I think I would be surprised if Teo isn't a little bit better moving forward. But, these last couple weeks have been, of all the guys individually I'd be worried about, he might be at the top of the list right now.
I do kind of wonder, right? Given that he's getting a little older, I mean, I do think kind of one thing is, and again, I don't have like the updated numbers, so for all I know, this guy hasn't gotten a hit in like 2 weeks, whatever. But like, with Rojas, right? They kind of use him sparingly, and obviously, I don't think right at his age, he's necessarily right. His body probably wouldn't hold up to playing every day. But I think kind of in the way they've kind of like selectively used him, it seems like he's pretty effective in that. What is he? Oh, for his last what?
His last hit was April 26th.
Okay. Well,
So
it worked for 3 weeks.
Yes, no, it did. He's 0 for his last 14 and had a rough game. And
14?
yeah, I mean, he's not getting a ton of at bats. He had a bad game on Tuesday in that loss to the Astros where he came up 4 times with guys on base, 1 time with the bases loaded,
That one earned it.
and did not produce anything from it. But also talked about, he had an interesting quote this week. He said that when it came to the Dodgers' kind of situational struggles as an offense, that part of what he's been seeing is that so many guys are searching for their swing right now. When you're in that mode, you get in a situational spot, you're thinking about your swing more than your approach and what I need to do here. Now, this was the same dynamic that was happening at the end of last year, but that was at the end of last year where the playoffs were coming and the Dodgers had to kind of proactively, they did a lot of little things proactively get guys to like focus on, their approach in certain spots, how to have quality at bats, how to move runners, how to manufacture stuff. Where I think right now there's a little more leeway to let guys kind of figure out what they're working through with their swing. Which because I've raised the red flag of like, oh, this offense looks very similar to the second half of last year's offense. I do think that's one key difference that he articulated well.
It is kind of interesting though, right? In baseball, I do think how kind of that mechanics thing as opposed to kind of the competing thing, right? The difference between like pitching and hitting, right? If a guy's kind of mechanics are up a little bit out of whack on the mound, right? What you'll just kind of hear a lot of people just kind of say it's like, dude, just go out there and just compete, right? Right, whether it's Kershaw or maybe something that we saw earlier this season from Ohtani, where it's just like, okay, maybe the ball's not going exactly where you want, but just kind of find a way to do it. Whereas like with the hitting thing, it kind of seems like it's a little bit more okay. Kind of take care of the mechanics and everything will kind of flow from there.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and you want to get your swings off. Like when you're going through it as a hitter, you're trying to find a feel in the box. Like Kyle Tucker's talked about this during his struggles over the opening month. It's like he was just trying to kind of swing his way out of it, which is part of why he was more aggressive than we're used to and swinging earlier in counts than we're used to. Because when you're doing that, you want to make sure that you don't miss the hittable pitches because that's where you're going to really kind of hopefully find something with your swing. And if you got to swing a little bit more and expand a little bit, like, that happens. I think we see the same thing with Shohei Ohtani, honestly, where when he's grinding through bad feel at the plate. He's trying to get swings off and find something and figure out where he can do some damage. So, and to be fair, the Dodgers, 3 of the last 4 games here, the offense collectively has looked better. Even though, man, that Astros pitching staff. One more tangent here. That is a mash unit. Well, really, that whole team. But Lance McCullers was out there pitching without a fingernail on his index finger yesterday in the 3rd inning because they just literally had no other options. So we'll see how sustainable the Dodgers' offensive turnaround is, or if they just got a bad Astros team. Last one from the better or worse category. Your favorite, Roki Sasaki. You hit this one again. You said that you were not convinced he would succeed as a starter and that long term he still profiles as a great reliever. I thought he would be better as a starter. He somehow hasn't been, even though his stuff is significantly better than it was last year. He's not throwing 93, but his ERA is higher. The last couple starts have been better, but he has not been improved. So you were on this one.
Yeah.
And that was even before spring games started and it was clear that things were going bad with him.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I can't really tell too much when I watch these bullpen sessions, but our friends in the Japanese media who can tell what every single pitch is, they did not seem to be very impressed kind of early in camp just watching his pens. So
all right.
I'm sure I don't recall making this prediction. I actually thought it was gonna be Tanner Scott. We didn't do Tanner Scott better or worse?
Well, that's coming up in a different category. Don't worry.
All right.
So far, I think you might be doing better than me.
I think so. I think we should be like 5 points now.
Oh, now who's trying to rewrite the rules? Guys, you were so convinced your guesses were going to be terrible. You need to see more self-confidence.
Well, I don't remember what I said.
That probably for you specifically, that probably is kind of a dangerous thing.
Right. And the thing is, right, I do think that you're never the same person you were, even a day ago, right? There've been slight changes, right? And so I can't remember the spirit of the person who made these predictions even.
All right. Well, let's keep going. We got a few more here. We debated who would be the more impactful new addition, Kyle Tucker or Edwin Diaz. I don't even know how to grade this one, honestly. You said Tucker. I said Diaz. You said Tucker because you were convinced so many other guys were going to be worse. I said Diaz because I picked better for everybody we talked about, basically. And I was like, well, he can at least fix the bullpen. Who has been the more impactful addition?
Well, in terms of impactful, we're not limiting
it impactful up for.
Well, we're not right. We're not limiting this to positive impact, right? I mean, and then I would argue
that's one way to spin it,
right? Because I would argue.
I think the impetus of it would be a more positively impactful player.
I mean, I would argue right now that Diaz, as much as when he went down, I actually thought it was, and I still do, by the way, I still do think his absence is going to cause problems for this pen as the innings start piling up. But right now, given the fact that the pen seems fine, right now,
good. They covered 8 innings yesterday, no problem.
Unaffected, so to speak, by Diaz's absence. Whereas Tucker is contributing to the Dodgers' offensive problems, so I would argue he's more impactful.
Kyle Tucker has been the more impactful guy, both production-wise. Guess what? He's worth half of a positive WAR. Edwin Diaz is worth half of a negative WAR. But he also, I'll give him credit. This last series in Houston, I think, was maybe the best he's looked so far. Now, that's probably saying something because he still, I think, had 5 or 6 hits and 1 home run. It's not like he went crazy, but the consistency of the at-bats were better. He got booed. That was really weird.
So about this though, right?
The booing,
the context of it, not just the booing, but the fact that he's going to go play his former team. Because this kind of does go back to the thing that we asked him about at his introductory press conference about the whole because this was the narrative all winter, right? Is kind of that he kind of lacks this like natural kind of fire type thing. And like, so now all of a sudden he goes back to play his former team, and that's just like happens to be like when the bat kind of comes to life. Um, does that, I don't know, raise any kind of, I don't know, does that renew those concerns at all for you?
That he what only
That
gets
he
up
needs,
for.
yeah, well, that basically, yeah, that he has, right? Because a lot of the, okay, look, whatever it is, Otani, okay, maybe he's slumping, whatever, but like I don't think we're sitting here wondering, like, okay, how much is this is like linked to
I
him?
don't think I
Yeah.
don't I don't think that he was slumping because he's been lacking passion and then went to Houston and got, had some intensity or is fire lit by the crowd and then was suddenly good and now is going to go back to being bad. I think he struggled because he has not, like his swing just hasn't been right. He has not impacted the ball the way you would expect Kyle Tucker, a four-time All-Star and multi-time Silver Slugger, uh, to hit the ball, especially like hittable pitches. And at least this week, like that's where it looked a little bit. And like honestly, like over the last couple weeks, he's been marginally better. He still hasn't taken off. I think his like OPS over the last couple weeks is like 780, 790. So it's better, but it's still not at a superstar level. And he was not at a superstar level this past week. I think if you're the Dodgers, you're maybe just hoping that like, okay, if he did feel some added whatever, it like helps him because I think that part's normal, especially because the reason the booing was weird is like he went back to Houston with the Cubs last year and he got a standing ovation. They like played his walk-up song in the stadium. There were fans wearing little King Tuck crowns. And then like he comes back this year, and I assume it's just because he's signed with the Dodgers, and there's this Dodger Astro thing, and the bigger context about the Dodgers being bad for baseball. And like the booing got worse over the course of the 3 days. So that was really interesting. And I think, for him, I'm sure it probably had some impact. We asked him about it. You'll be stunned to know he said he had no take on the way that the crowd received him. But if it helps him find his swing, great. If not, I don't think that he can only be good if he's playing the Astros. I still think we'll see a better version of Kyle Tucker. And he's still been more impactful than Edwin Diaz. So there's there's that. All right. This was a great one from you. Do you remember who your breakout star this season was going to be?
Oh yeah. Well, he's her, right? River Ryan?
River Ryan. Do you remember how confident you were in this
Well,
breakout?
I knew it was going to be one of the young pitchers, whether it was River Ryan or Justin Roblesky, and
Don't even. You didn't know who Justin Wroblewski was until
I just
the
knew one of
second
those
week of the
guys
season.
would have a shot at making the All-Star team, and right now it looks like, you know, while River Ryan's hurt, Justin Roblesky has got to he stepped into that spot admirably.
Um, you, yes, predicted that River Ryan would be an all-star. I think you did that on like our first three different episodes. You just slipped that in. You were very bullish on like the 30 pounds he added during his return from Tommy John surgery. You said he'd be a top 10 in Cy Young voting. Um,
It still happened.
and here's a direct quote from you. Uh, Koufax, Hershiser, Kershaw, River Ryan. So you're a little
He's a
off.
young man. There's still plenty of
There
time.
is time. River Ryan was very good in spring. This looked like a good prediction up until, the game started mattering. They sent him to AAA to begin the year because he was coming back from Tommy John, and they wanted to kind of let him build up slowly. He made two starts. He's had a hamstring thing, so he's still a little bit of a ways away from coming back, but could still be impactful this year at the
Yeah,
level of Koufax,
sometimes
Hershiser, Kershaw.
look, there are times, when I believe in players more than Andrew Friedman does, and River Ryan is paying the price for their lack of belief.
All right. Well, for as bad as you swung and missed, I delivered because I picked Andy Pajes from the very start of camp.
Yeah.
I was in on him. I thought he was going to take the next step this year, have a 30 plus homer season, be an all-star. And he's just checking every box so far. So me and Dave Roberts, who said that Andy Pajes was his pick to click, We both saw what was coming this
You're
year.
so proud. This is like the one thing you've gotten right so far. And
So you've had some marginal wins up until this point, but on this category, I feel like I made up a lot of ground.
all right, take your little victory lap.
Uh, Here's another one you have not really gotten right. The Michael Conforto Fan Frustration Award, uh, that you wanted to rename when we originally
Oh,
picked
that's right.
this
Yeah, it's okay. I do remember
to
this.
Tanner Scott. In part because of what he did last year, in part because you didn't like his short answers at FanFest about his struggles last year. Uh, this one has been wrong, Dylan, because Tanner Scott, who's now serving as the fill-in closer, 1.76 ERA and 17 outings, has only given up one home run, I believe it is. No, two home runs. He gave up the one against the Cubs the other week. But overall, has looked good and has helped keep this bullpen.
I'm still not buying on this one.
Okay. It's early. We're only like a fifth of the way through the season here. Why?
I don't know. The whole, I don't know. I
Stubborn.
don't, I've been around, good closers, guys that, I don't know. There's a certain, I don't know. There's something about him that just makes me kind of uncomfortable. That I don't think that's going to be kind of a reliable thing. I don't know. I have my doubts here.
I mean, I think the this the Dodgers were very definitive in the offseason. We think Tanner Scott's going to be better. We think he dealt with some physical stuff last year. No one really quite came out and said this, but clearly, like being the closer for the Dodgers and the pressure that came with that appeared to get to him at times. But from the start of the offseason, they're like, we think he'll be better because we think the stuff is good. We can make some changes.
The bar was so. I mean, what are they going to say? He had 2 years.
Well, okay, not they didn't just say better. Like they were like, we think Tanner Scott will be like a valuable high leverage reliever for us. Now, again, their belief was it only went so far. They went out and signed Edwin Diaz. But this is at least I think what they were envisioning, which is he's got the slider playing better.
I think this is what they were hoping for. I'm not sure that this is what.
Well, sure. Well,
and I think gun to the head. Do you think if you ask them like, do you really think this is going to last the whole season? I think that they would not. I will put it this way: like the next time you see one of the front office guys out on the field, go ask them for on the record he's going to do this the rest of the year. I bet you they will not say that.
Well, then maybe we'll have to do that this homestand. My pick here was kind of uh, like void for now. I said Tommy Edman. I forgot about this one. This was like such convoluted thinking. I said Tommy Edman because he's going to be just fine, but people are going to start clamoring to see Kike Hernandez play more once he came back from his injury, and that Tommy would be the one that whatever would get directed at those desires and frustrations. Now it might be Teoscar Hernandez. But I don't know.
Who is kind of the fan frustration guy right now? You think it's Tucker?
Yeah, Tucker. I mean, not to keep bringing up Teo, but I don't think Teo's helping.
Yeah, but I think he's kind of you know what I mean, because he's
not. I mean, honestly, Roki. Roki's a weird one because he built up so much. I think, especially with like the fans.
Right.
Like he built up so much capital with what he did during the playoffs last year that even like after his first couple starts this year were bad. And there are, we come out of spring. This was one of the stranger moments of the season to me. We come out of spring. We as reporters are like, this is set up for failure. Why is Roki Sasaki in the rotation? He can't get the ball over the plate. This is ridiculous. And then like we get to Dodger Stadium for the first time and he comes in for his first start. And Bailey Roki plays, and the place goes crazy because their memories of him were like in October when he was great.
I don't know they've turned on him, right? Because I think those are two separate. Like now, granted, like when that song plays, it doesn't get the same reaction that it did at the beginning of the season, right? But I also think it's kind of given everything. Like people still want to pull for him, right? Because when things get toxic, right? And there've been guys kind of over the years. I don't know, I mean, I guess if I'm going to be honest, right? Like, what's his name? Tanner Scott, like from like a vibe standpoint, reminds me a lot of this guy. This is before your time. This guy named Chris Hatcher, who was a And he was like a guy that like he would come into the games and like fans would like boo him, right? And so I do think there's a difference between like, okay, we're not going to be as enthusiastic about a guy coming in as opposed to, like we do not like this guy. And to me, there's a difference there. Um, you know, so
By the way, do you know who is not frustrating fans anymore? Michael Conforto himself,
oh
who
no.
is off to a great start, albeit in a limited role with the Cubs. He hit a walk-off home run this week. So good for Michael Conforto.
Yeah,
Last year
you know
was
what?
last
Yeah,
year was
I'll
a
say
real
this.
nightmare, and he's been better.
Yeah, and I'll say this about him, right? I mean, I think the one thing about him is just when you kind of talk to other guys about him, right, is how well liked he is. And I do think it says a lot about who he is, the fact that he was going through all that, right, on an individual basis, but it kind of didn't affect the way the kind of teammate he was. So, yeah, good for him.
This one surprised me. Do you remember what your for this specific prediction, what your win total prediction was?
I don't know. What is 121?
No, it was 101. You were down on the team at the start of spring. And I even like you even mentioned that. You go 101 for me, like I think they're going to be terrible if I think they're only going to win 101 games. And
Yeah.
I said 100 wins. I think both of those might end up being more accurate than 120, but
Yeah.
we'll see. Here's another one I got right. Do you remember who you said was going to be their toughest competition in the National League West? I said the Padres.
Giants?
You said the Giants.
Said the Giants. Yeah. Well, did you wound up picking the in our
I
official
did.
both predictions? You wound up picking the Giants.
I did, but you know what? We're only focusing on what we said. We're
Yeah,
we
I
are
mean,
in
they're
the, we are in the Dodgers Post universe, not the larger California Post.
well. Here is the thing, though, right? They just called up Bryce Eldridge, right?
Oh yeah, he's gonna save the day.
He will do for the Giants what Yasiel Puig did for the Dodgers in 2013. Just it's just gonna electrify. What's that place called now? Oracle Park. Oracle Park will just be electric from now on. It will never be the same. And yeah, you know,
Uh,
or
when
not.
they when they pick clips that we push out on social media to promote this podcast, that's the one I want. Bryce Eldridge will be Yasiel Puig 2013.
Well, you know what? He could actually hit a fastball, which you can't say about like half that lineup right
It's
now. I
true.
mean,
Well, we'll
geez,
see.
I mean, that Devers stuff is getting painful to watch, right? It's not like I'm sitting here like watching every at bat, but it's just like, I mean, when the Dodgers pitched to him, it was basically we're just gonna throw it as hard as we can down the middle, try to hit it, and he couldn't usually.
Tanner Scott took that approach. It worked out quite well. Uh, and then the last one, we who would the Dodgers beat in the World Series?
Hmm. You said they weren't gonna get there.
I said they were going to get there and lose, which I don't feel worse about right now. I've been on this all year. I've been picking against them to win the World Series, mainly out of just like statistical probabilities. It's really
Yeah,
unlikely to win three in a
you
row.
don't want to hold them accountable for their actions.
Um,
Oh, it's the probability that lost. You said this is like you're sounding like
crapshoot argument.
you are sounding like early tenure Andrew Friedman. Oh, we didn't do anything wrong. We did everything right. Like this is probability.
Well,
Like,
it was hard. It was hard to poke holes in them before, but like, we raised the potential age problems, which have not gone away given the way the offense has been. The potential pitching injuries, which haven't been terrible yet, but have started to crop up. And I think in our like season preview newspaper section, I picked them to lose to the Mariners, which doesn't look like a great pick right now. But yeah, you said they'd beat the Yankees, so having the Yankees in there was a good call because they've been. I was really down on the Yankees at the start of the year. They've been very good. So yeah, we'll see. I'm still on my train though of no.
that would just be like a posted dream, right?
That would be good.
That'd be good for business, I think.
That would be good
Hopefully.
for business. There was one bonus one in here. We both picked the United States to win the World Baseball Classic.
Hmm.
Not quite.
No.
Okay, Dylan.
Ish.
Yeah. Uh, I I will. I don't know. I feel like my hits were much more on the money. and my misses were much more wild. Whereas you kind of on the fringes of that.
Model of consistency.
Yeah, consistently mediocre. It's like,
Hey, that's what you need, man. I was taking professional at bats.
um,
I don't know. I kind of like mine.
yeah, I'll give him. I said Teo would be better confidently, and Roki would be
This
better.
is worth what, 25 points?
No, but you will get 3 points, which is good because now as we get to our normal prediction, you could use the 3 points because I've made a stunning comeback from down five a week ago to now entering this week. I was back to zero because I said Shohei Ohtani would have 8 strikeouts in his last start. He hit it right on the money. Thank you very much, Houston Astros. Thank you, Jose Altuve, for swinging at one of the widest sweepers you will ever see. You said Ohtani would hit a home run on Wednesday. He got plenty of chances in a game where I think he took like 5 or 6 at bats and did not get very close to doing it. So you lose a point. You were at -1. I was at zero. We'll give you these 3 points here. So you've retaken the lead 2-0 at the moment. What is your prediction for this coming weekend?
Mm, let's see. Uh, Roki bloodbath. I think he's gonna.
We've done this before, specifically with Roki. I need a specific guess from you.
I say he does not.
Unless it's one of those you know it when you see it things.
It is a when you see it. I mean, he's definitely not completing four.
Not completing four
Yeah.
against the Braves. Right. That is specific. What if it's yeah, okay. That's gonna be funny when it's like 3 2/3 of like shutout ball or something, but he had to work around 6 walks.
Yeah. Well, no, but like, look, if he's still in there, like, I think it's gonna get. I mean, honestly, I'm not even sure he gets to the three. Right? I think it's gonna be bad.
Okay. Um, I was trying to think. This
What are
is
the Brave starters this weekend? I don't know. I feel like I'm picking on Roki too much.
it's no, it's Sale, Strider, and Elder, I believe.
Ooh.
Yeah, it says
Okay. You know what? Can I switch up a little bit?
sure.
Well, here, I mean, well, listen to this. I mean, you can take either one here. I mean, because I don't know. I think that the Roki getting kind of blown up feels like. I mean, I don't know. I feel like fairly confident that that's going to happen. I'd say Ohtani hits a home run this weekend.
Oh God. One home run. Okay. Fine. He's hit
Well,
one.
I mean, dude, he hasn't hit one in like
It's-
how many?
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. It's just you're
Okay, he's gonna hit. Okay, no. Okay, I'll say this. He's gonna hit a home run off a starting pitcher.
okay.
Given the quality of the starters there
Sure.
that they're running out there,
My only point is you're very much like this. Don't worry about Ohtani. He's gonna be just fine. Don't even think about making him a hitter only. But yeah, it'll be a real success if he hits one home run in 3 games, like he would do.
well, but like if you,
Other
I think he's
career.
gonna have. Okay, so who is it? It's Sales, Strider, and who's the third?
Bryce Elder, who might be
Okay.
pitching like the best of the group.
Well, I think he's gonna kind of have one of those like tone setting, like early. Okay, you know what? Let me say this. He's gonna have a leadoff home run. Like I think he's gonna have a type of home run that's gonna kind of set that tone
There
for
you
the
go.
game.
That's good.
Right.
And if he hits a home run, we'll give you a directionally correct.
Yeah. But I think it's gonna be, I mean, we've seen that from him before, right? Where he hits that home run like off like a good starting pitcher, and then it just kind of the momentum all just kind of goes to the Dodgers and they kind of start rolling. I think that starts this weekend, and it's going to start with a home run against one of those guys. I think right. I mean, look, as much as these guys talk about like it's a long season and all these games count the same, I think they understand the Braves are coming in with the best record in baseball, right? They've been looking at that rotation. These are the guys that we're going to play in the playoffs. I think that they're going to, I think Ohtani's going to be looking to make a statement, and I think he will.
In a similar vein there, I will say that the Dodgers win this series, which might not be bold, but like they definitely don't have the.
You got to at least pick a sweep.
I don't want to pick a sweep. Roki's pitching against Spencer Strider. I don't feel good about that.
You
Um,
know, it's funny though, because there's a guy that keeps commenting. He keeps getting mad that we keep picking sweeps. I think he thinks it's our fault when the team doesn't sweep. So, like, I think just to kind of keep that streak going, you should pick a
all
sweep.
right, I'll pick a Dodgers sweep,
All
and
right,
if they win
there
the
you go.
series, I'll get 1 point. Directionally correct. By the way, shout out to our great audience who gave us so many good guesses to who was reporter X in your story about the St. Louis Derby star last week. Um, the guesses ranged from Ken Rosenthal to Bill Dwyer to Andy McCullough to
Well,
Fox.
Bill Dwyer could not. I'm sorry, Bill Dwyer could not run right now. So- or even 10 years ago would
Oh,
have.
maybe, yeah, maybe 10 years ago. Come on. To Jeff Basson, to who else got mentioned in there? There were a lot of great guesses. I was very proud of our viewers for their knowledge of the baseball reporting scene. There were people that were
Who
like
picked Ken
maybe they were like
Rosenthal?
doing
Ken Rosenthal is like a
analysis.
really nice guy, by the way. Ken Rosenthal would not be getting chased around the
Well, you
bar.
know that his public reputation, I could see how maybe some people thought differently. But yes, Ken's a great guy.
Yeah.
Uh,
Just and I mean, and that was kind of what I did want to kind of acknowledge, right? Because whatever is out there, like it's just like he's really like one of the nicest people. Like, look, like me and Jack, the truth is, if we got in trouble at a bar, like you're kind of like I would kind of be like, yeah, you know, they had it coming, but not Ken Rosenthal. But I will say this: I did see the list, and somebody or maybe multiple people even guessed correctly.
so that's what I was going to ask if you wanted to let people know if the right name was on there somewhere.
It was on there. And here's the thing. I've actually told this story before. It's out there somewhere. And I've said the reporter's name like multiple times just because it's somebody who's fairly vain and does
Not
not
on
like the
camera
story.
though, you haven't.
Sorry?
Not on camera
I'm pretty sure I have.
or radio. All right.
Maybe radio. Yeah, I don't know.
Someone do some digging. See if you could expose Dylan for trying to be sneaky.
Do we have anything we could send them? Like if somebody wins?
I mean, I have a million Dodger bobbleheads we can
Have
send.
one of those red California Post hats, maybe we could send them?
Sure. There you go. I'll also shout out to whoever said Reporter X was like Reporter Y's older brother. Great. I was very pleased to know that people got to minute 50 or whatever of last week's show to even know that this was a thing, and then B, took the time and effort to put it in. You guys are great.
Yeah.
Which, on that note, subscribe to the California Post Sports YouTube page. Go find us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Um, I during my long travel day yesterday, I listened to us on podcast form, which I almost never do. I was pleasantly surprised by how good we sounded, or how at least not incompetent we sounded. So yeah, go do that. Plenty of coverage at CaliforniaPost.com. There's some interesting stuff we got to this week. And yeah, big series coming up this weekend against the Braves. Pitchers making their last auditions before Blake Snell comes back. Potential postseason preview, even though still, we asked Dave Roberts about that in his office yesterday. He said it was still a little early. Although I'll tell you what, Dylan said it was gut check time 3 weeks ago, which felt early. And this kind of has been a gut check period that the Dodgers are grinding through. So we'll have it all covered there. You got anything else?
No. Again, just thank you, and please hit any retweet, likes, and what is it? Hype.
Look, Dylan's even got a 4K camera broke out this week, so you guys can see him crystal clear. All right. We'll talk to you guys next week. Thank you.